Welcome back to the channel. I got a kit. It's Easter weekend. We got the bunny rabbit here. Remember the meaning of Easter, not the candy. Risen Lord. But today we're gonna use this kit. I've never used it, never cold blued anything, but I figured while I got nothing but downtime, some relaxation, I'm gonna relax while I cold blue this 48 Sportsman. You can tell it's not pitted. That's not pit. That's just patina, extra patina. But the kit comes with blue. It takes the blue and the rust off, a cleaner and a degreaser, and then the re-bluer. It's the whole kit. So first off, we gotta start taking it apart. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna separate the gun, the barrel, and the front stock. Take the barrel off. It does have spring tension on it. So there we go. There's the barrel. The spring is really dirty. So this is that 48 Sportsman. Here, I wonder how many's in there. There's one on the back side. There's 3 pins that keep you from putting more than 2 shells in that gun. 2 shells in the magazine tube, 1 in the chamber. That's why it's a Sportsman. So this is that spring that runs down with the friction. Just in case you forget, it tells you this way up for all loads. Plus it is together. This screws in there somehow. I'm not even attempting to take that out just to show y'all, but there is a thread in there. Probably can see it right in there. It's threaded. So the next thing we need to do is take these 2 pins out. You saw my other video where this pin was missing the clip and the pin would just fall out. Now it's really tight because it's all new, but we're gonna push these pins out. They just come out like this way. Really tight now. Them 2 pins are out. Now the trigger assembly is out. That little D-ring right there is what holds the pin in with the little grooves. If you really want it really tight, you can put a pin on both sides. The factory did not do it, so it's probably not needed. So now I can pull the handle off. Bolt should slide out. There we go. The receiver is almost done. So next I will take the buttstock off. A small break in the action from my not sponsored video, but if they ever want to sponsor me, I love Cheerwine. Alright, so I need to take these 2 screws off the end. Now remember, this was a pawn shop fine gun, so we got a Phillips on the top and a flathead on the bottom. So we probably can replace that later to make them match, but at the moment it is not needed. I don't have to take that one all the way off because all I need to do is get to that nut. But I had this little teeny screwdriver here. If you ever want to know what these little fat screwdrivers are for, it's for working on carburetors. So you can get behind the carburetor of a V8 and be able to take the jets and stuff out with the distributor being there. Just free information. So take this out. Might need a flashlight because I thought it was a nut, and it's a really big flathead. There we go. Look at that. That looks almost like a stoker, the way they got that weighted screw. It had this and then a lot washer. I will look at the instructions on which way that goes back on when I go to put it back, because who knows if that was ever took off. And by this washer, there is 2 raised notches on it. Obviously that's just a lot washer. So does the lot washer go on that side, or does that? I'm assuming it probably goes this way, just by the way the rust and dirt looks. Like I said, when we put it back together, I will look it up just to make sure. And there it is, that's off. I love the details in these old guns. But here it is. There's the receiver. And you can tell this is an old gun. Right here, that's wood. You have a pin right here. If you push that out, hold the wood piece, push that pin out, and barely let that piece of wood out. Ta-da, another spring. So what happens is, inside that receiver, this bolt, in the newer guns, is 1 instead of having 2. I don't know why they didn't go ahead and weld them together, but this piece goes in here, so when you go boom, this slides back up in there. This is at the end. That's solid wood. I think they make this in plastic now. I think you still can get it in wood, but you definitely want to inspect that if you having jams, because if this is all rotted and busted up, like I said, I don't even remember when this gun was made. I looked it up. I think it was 58. So what's 1958 subtract 2023? How many years is that? 70. Well, they do the math on that. I mean, this is wood. It could deteriorate. So make sure this is still good. You get any calculation on that date yet? I got 2 people just looking at me like I didn't ask for what the date was. So I think we're ready to start this kit. That's pretty much everything took apart. I'm gonna try to blue this too, if I got some blue left. I'm gonna attempt to see what that looks like. All right, let's get to it. So now that we're outside, I'm gonna open it up and read the instructions. So in the instructions on the cleaner and degreaser, it says wear gloves, which I got, and it says do not cut corners. When you think it's clean enough, clean it 2 more times. So let's get to cleaning it. So you're supposed to put this on this little pad and clean it. And that's some runny stuff. Definitely got some bubbles on it. And perfect timing for work to call. Now that I rinsed it, now it says dry it off. This is the fastest way. Alright, now I'm to the blue and rust remover. So I'm supposed to put this on here, rub the barrel and the receiver down, wait 2 minutes, take the steel wool, get any rust spots off. It did say if there was any pitting, use this wet sandpaper that came in the kit, but there's no pitting, so I'm going to do these steps. So it says put it on, wait 2 minutes, let it do its job, and then it said to do it again. It said make sure that you don't put your fingers on it, which is why I'm wearing gloves. You don't want oil from your hands to get on it. If anything, it's gonna be sweat from out here in this heat. I hate summertime. And it's not even summertime yet. It's still spring. I miss waterfowl season. So let's get this real good. So there's no use to bore you. And since I haven't got up to this part where this left-hand glove is, I'm going to pause the camera and pick y'all back up. All right, so I did have to use the piece of sandpaper down here. There was some rust. There's still a little bit right here. I'm gonna do it on my second process, but I already rinsed it. And I mean, this stuff is like really impressive. There's a little bit of rust still here. I went ahead and rinsed it. I'm gonna blow it off again, apply a second coat. All right, they have now been de-rusted twice. The blue and rust, it's amazing how they look. I don't drink twisted iced tea. This blanket, towel, whatever was in the camper from the previous owners. And since I don't drink twisted iced tea, I thought why not use it as a throwaway blanket. So now is the time for the blue. So again, let's read the instructions. All right, the instruction says, allow the bluing to stay on the metal for 30 to 60 seconds and no longer. When neutralizing the chemical reaction, rinse immediately with cold water and wipe dry. So what it's saying is work in 2 or 3 sections. You don't do it all at one time. Do not let it stay on more than 1 minute. And rinse, dry, keep applying until the desired color is attained. So let's get to it. Wow. That definitely starts bluing really quick. So I'm going to start counting in my head. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive, if I had to say so myself. So So I'm gonna rinse this off and dry it again. All right, after 6 coats is black. This is the rust preventing applicator rag. Comes with 2 of these. Let's wipe it down. All right, so it's blue. It's definitely darker. My expectations, not sure. Did it do its justice? Yes. It took all the rust off. Was it a lot of work? Yes. I think I put like 6 coats before I ever got it really dark. Is there still some I don't know. It's not going to be factory. It was never intended to make it look like a factory job anyway. Is it going to do as good as hot bluing? No. Will it prevent any future rusting? Yeah, absolutely. So what I wanted to do I wanted to test this kit before I ever did the Savage Auto 5, the 720, because it's a whole lot more process to take apart. This right here was super simple to take apart. I'm not going to do it. This was just a test run for $180. I could have got this Cerakoted, the receiver and the barrel and all the other parts. I got 2 quotes. For one was $180, I think the other one was $240 if I took it apart. Well, guess what? I already took it apart, so that's not a problem. But getting it Cerakoted in a black finish, you never ever have any rust. You never have any having to oil the outside. It basically protects the gun for life. I hope to pass these on. So I'm probably going to send this one off later to get it Cerakoted, but it accomplished what I was going after. I stopped the rust. I could have oiled it, but it really didn't get down to that layer where that rust was. So we got down to the bare metal. Got that rust off. It looks a whole lot better than the original. So now put it all back together. So I'll put the spring back in, put the wooden thing, put the pin back in. Now that I got that one in, I can now put my bolt back in. Remember, I just showed you them 2 rods. The 2 rods have to go back into that spring that I just put in. Now that they're in there, the dog is coughing. I am going to put my bolt pin back in. That's going to hold it from coming out that way. Make sure both rods are in there. Remember, this spring in here is just for the bolt. The barrel, that long action recoil, is the reason for this spring. Kind of like inertia, kind of like a stoger. So like a modern gun, this would be equivalent to a stoger minus the barrel going back in there. Stoger, the bolt would be connected to this part, so when it would shoot, a stoger would, maybe they took the idea, I don't know. But I'm gonna put trigger assembly back in. So them pins are really tight. Since oh gracious. So there we go. We'll put the wood back on. I gotta figure out which way I talked before this goes on, and I'll get back. Alright, after searching YouTube on this one washer that nobody talks about, they just show the barrel going back together, and most of the time it's on 1100s and other models and not the 48 Sportsman. Even looking on Remington's diagram layout, it shows this piece, it shows the lock washer, and it shows this, but it doesn't tell you which way to go. So after about 30-40 minutes of looking, I said, I'm just going to shine a light down in it. My thinking was this little notch that's notched out would bite down into the wood. Obviously, I know this goes in the middle because a lock washer works with biting metal onto metal so it don't back out. So I knew it had to go in this order. I just didn't know which way this went. Well, after looking down it with a flashlight, you can see which way it goes. It goes with the notches towards the wood. I'm going to take a picture so you can see it, and then hopefully I'll take a good picture. Alright, so the way I'm going to do it, because if you try to do it by dropping it in there, you're not going to hit the bolt and you're not going to know which way the washer goes. So I'm going to take the washer, put it in the way I want it, put it on my screwdriver, put it in the hole, find the hole, wrong hole, put it in there, and then drop it in there. So now I know that the washer is going the correct way. Now all I got to do is put this on, ring the hole, then ring that hole, and then everything's good to go, right? Clear as mud. All right, it's back together. That worked perfect. By putting it in there, letting it drop in there, I knew which way it went, and then just sliding that on. Didn't matter with a lock washer because it goes either way, and then putting that big nut back in there. I did have help holding the flashlight, but it worked perfect doing it that way. Let's put this piece back on. Remember, for some reason I had two different screws, so let's get that put back on. Alright, I got that put back on, and I should have showed you before putting this back on, but there was two holes up here. One of the ways that they make the gun lighter is they come in here and mill this section out. It makes it lighter, plus it changes the way the balance of the gun is. So there was two holes back here, but one hole usually only goes about right here, and then the other one went all the way down to this bolt. But that's one way they make the gun lighter, is just milling it all out. Alright, this little brass compression Ring goes back in there, barrel goes back on. Barrel's back on. Put the wood back on. Put the nut back on. I did try bluing it. It didn't make absolutely no difference. But it wasn't rusted to start with, but I did do it. Tighten it back up. She's back together. And you can see that looks a lot better, but there's still some, you see the right there in that view, hopefully it shows up, that's where that rust was. So I guess there is no rust there, because when I sanded it down, it definitely went to bare metal. Now did the bluing affect that? I don't know, but it looks a lot better. But she's back together. Long recoil. But ta-da! Hopefully, if all you needed was to maybe clean the gun up and resell it, this would be the trick. I did it again to get me by. I mean, the barrel looks a whole lot better. I'm gonna get me by until I can get it all Cerakoted and get this wood sanded and redone. But so the next time you will see this gun is when I take it back down, take it to get it Cerakoted. But it looks a lot better. So hit that like, subscribe button. I'll see y'all later.